Welcome to Go Electric, where we cover some of the most interesting topics around electrification and clean tech. Today's show is brought to you by Charge Up USA, a one-stop shop turnkey marketplace for EV charging solutions and expert installation services. Charge Up USA streamlines the process of finding the best EV charging stations and the best service professionals at the best price. Now, I want to welcome our viewers and listeners to Go Electric, where we're passionate about making the world cleaner and greener. Go Electric is looking at all angles of the clean tech revolution with the goal of spreading awareness about all of the incredible things that are helping to change our world for the better. If you're like us and you're passionate about clean tech and electrification, be sure to like this video and click that subscribe button below. Today, I'm excited to welcome Ravi Mikkelsen to our show. Ravi is the founder of Atmos Financial, a banking startup that leverages people's deposits to finance the clean energy economy. Ravi, I'm so glad that you're joining us today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Rob, Josh. Very excited to be here.
We're glad to have you.
So let's start at the top. Can you tell us about your quote unquote why behind starting Atmos and why you're passionate about financing climate positive initiatives?
Yeah, thank you. I'm an engineer by training, not a banker. I did not grow up in the finance industry. My why is really because it's important. It needs to be done. For the last 21 years, my mission in life has been to help the world transition off of fossil fuels towards a more regenerative economy, a clean energy, electric economy. And I've seen, so first I worked on the energy generation and management side of things and research startups, nonprofits, and came to the finance industry because I saw 6 years ago that we needed to accelerate deployment of capital if we're going to hit our goals. And then in late 2018, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, released a report on that if we wanted a chance of staying below 1.5 degrees centigrade of global temperature rise, we needed to start spending trillions of dollars instead of the hundreds of billions that we were. So if you look at the global financial landscape, there's a couple of countries and national governments that have, that could spend $1 trillion plus on a year. But it's really the global banking sector that does this every single year, $160+ trillion in assets and deposits. And they leverage these to finance the world in which we live. And it's like, if this is the world we want to live, we should be able to use our deposits to finance the loans to change the economy and the world in which we live. And since I couldn't find anyone else that was doing this, I sort of saw the problem and the solution, and then I became responsible for seeing it happen. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it then.
That is so cool. So maybe you could share a little bit more about the big idea behind Atmos and maybe a little bit about how the platform works.
Yeah. And so the big idea is that, and what most people don't know is everyone knows banking, but most people don't know how banking works. They don't know what banks do with our monies. So when you deposit your money into a bank account, it doesn't just sit there, in a vault if you deposited physical currency, or on a server if you deposit digital currency. It moves around throughout the economy. And so banks use our deposits to essentially backstop loans that they make for somebody to build or buy a home, a vehicle, bridges to be built, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's literally our deposits build the world in which we live. And so we don't get a choice, in what gets built, that we don't, get to vote on what the bank is going to fund. The only vote we get is where we place those deposits. So if you're with one of the, big four, big six banks in the US, Chase, B of A, Wells Fargo, and Citibank are the four largest banks in the US. And of the 5,000 plus banks, these four hold almost 50% of all deposits in the US. These are all trillion-dollar banks. Chase is 2-point-something trillion. And they are the four largest funders of extreme fossil fuel extraction on the planet as well. And you can go to bankingonclimatechaos.org to see where your bank stacks up. They've got about the top 100 or so banks on there globally. And so we need to move our money out of those banks. And so what Atmos has done is, we are not a bank ourselves. What we are is a software startup, a fintech, a financial technology startup that has partnered with a bank, Evolve Bank and Trust out of Memphis, Tennessee. And those deposits then flow through Evolve, which provides the FDIC coverage so that people's money is protected. And then we route that money to additional counterparty banks, these partners that have, right now it's utility scale solar. So it's like we fund the projects that way. And later on, we want to sort of move down the cost and the scale of the projects, to do commercial, to do residential. So we want to help people. It's like, imagine if your deposits could flow through, your a bank nearby, and fund a project for your neighbor. Like, how cool would that be? It's like, hey, let's use our deposits to fund projects in our neighborhood. So it's a long-term vision to get there, but right now, so we're finding banks that have these programs. I was like, oh yeah, we're doing utility scale solar, we're doing commercial solar, we're doing industrial building performance or industrial machine upgrades. We're finding those and then creating these partnerships to have our deposits flow through and help them fund those projects.
Wow, that's fantastic. So you're connecting consumers, banks, businesses to accelerate climate transition. That's just fantastic. So maybe you can share a little bit more about what some of the existing options are on the market, and maybe just delve a little deeper into some of the main problems that you're solving with Atmos today.
Yeah. So right now, there are a lot of options. So, but primarily the banks. There's a few banks that are funding projects at different scales. There are a lot of point of sale financial technology financiers for residential solar, for equipment upgrades. You've got mortgage lenders. So there's all these different options, but there isn't a dedicated, climate banking entity. There's a couple have started. There's a bank out of Florida, Climate First Bank, which we're good friends with, Clean Energy Credit Union. So those are the two, I would say climate positive, regulated entities. But we, as a software company, like, we're building amazing technology. We want to provide no sacrifice banking, kind of like Tesla did in the automotive industry. It just built out a fantastic product that people wanted to buy, even if they didn't really care about the environmental benefits. So we want to build a better banking product. We have one of the highest savings rates in the country, so you'll earn more on your savings account. Top rate is 0.8% right now. Easy checking, up to 5% cash back on mission aligned spending, mobile apps, web apps. So just provide a better banking experience. You earn more with your money, and we're going to provide you with cleaner air, cleaner water, better world in which to live. So it's, like I said, it's no sacrifice. So that's where we're coming from. My co-founder is a banker by training. So we have a really great complement of skills, and the team that we're building is pushing forward on all fronts here.
And so you mentioned a couple of similar businesses already doing this. Tell me what you guys are all seeing that makes this is the time to be focused on climate banking.
Yeah. Already doing this is sort of generous. We're all new. Climate First, like we came out before Climate First Bank by 5 months. CECU is just a few years old itself. So this is the time. There's a global shift in the zeitgeist, in the sentiment of communities. In the US, you're seeing all of these different movements around getting your money out of your where's your pension fund? What is that funding? Divesting out of fossil fuels from your individual and institutional portfolios. but there hasn't really been, until now, good banking options. And so we're working to build the most climate positive banking entity because people want it. We're seeing an increased amount of traffic, people searching for it, people asking, it's like, well, what can I do? And it's like, this is one of the easiest things that you can do to have a beneficial impact. You only have one, if you own your home, you only have one roof to put solar on it. But if you move your money over to Atmos, we can leverage that money several times over to fund multiple projects. That's what the power of banking is, this leverage and the recycling, so that your individual carbon footprint is usually just one of each thing, but with your money, it can happen multiple times.
So to help bring that home for our listeners and viewers, tell us what the climate impact of Atmos has been so far. What change have we seen since y'all started?
Yeah, great question. And so with this, with the funding of this utility scale solar, it's in the megawatts, not the gigawatts yet, but that'll be exciting when we get to that stage. But this is millions of pounds of CO2 emissions and other harmful particulates and emissions that we've helped to avoid by funding of these utility scale projects.
Man, well, I think it's time for me to move my money.
Yeah. So on
yeah.
that, I mean, if I didn't want you like concentrated on a conversation, it takes less than 2 minutes to apply for an account with us. And usually then we have to do some verification of your identity, but that happens within 24, 48 hours. So it's very quick, get signed up, and then, then funding of your account is a few more minutes. And then from there, you are having an impact. You're having a beneficial impact because we can then leverage those dollars. And right within the app, we actually show you what your dollars are doing. So you can see the impact that your dollars are having. And we're constantly working to make that better. It's like we're looking for greater granularity of the data. We want to show 24/7 impact and have that be the gold standard.
There you go. So pure curiosity here, but who is using this demographically speaking? Like, do you see more millennials on this or maybe Generation X? Is there any kind of clear signs as to who's out ahead of the curve on this?
Yeah, that's, we definitely thought coming into this that that the Gen Z 18 to 25-year-olds would be much faster moving. But there's a little bit of apathy around banking there. They're just getting started. But we have 18 to 84-year-olds on our platform. We have, a few octogenarians, and which really shows the breadth of the concern and the desire for this product. But the vast majority, it's 30 to 50-year-olds. It's people who are like have some money, they're moving around, they're opening it up. We do have 20 people just getting started, but it's still it's a really wide range that we're attracting, because some are focused on the checking side of things and earning that cash back, and then some are just using the savings account. It's such we're building something for everyone to be able to make use of. It's not just a single very narrow niche.
I'm really encouraged to hear that. It's not just a trendy bank. It's a bank for the people, if you will. That's really encouraging to hear that. All right. So people are familiar with the roundup concepts now, and perhaps they've used the Robinhood app. Atmos also has a roundup program. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Yeah. So this is something that we launched with our checking account. And so from our launch early last year, we've built nonprofit support directly into our platform. So you can, and that's part of what we do for our highest savings rate. So we give you a bonus if you set up a monthly recurring donation to one of our now 50 plus climate and sustainability nonprofits. And we have everyone from very tiny sort of local nonprofits like Power 52 out of Atlanta to national organizations like Project Drawdown or 1% for the Planet. And So if you set up a monthly recurring donation, we give you that bonus. And this is done out of the savings account and now can be done out of checking as well. But with the debit card, as you said, this roundup feature that people become, really comfortable with, you can make a donation, and these are all tax deductible. So we track everything for people's tax purposes. So they get the customers get the benefit when they make a donation, not Atmos. So when you make a purchase, you can then donate that change. So if it's $1.50, then you donate 50 cents to the nonprofit of your choice. If you don't want to make that donation, you can then move it into a savings account as well. But we do encourage that donation. And right now we're actually matching all roundup donations through Earth Day.
Wow. So if you're using this today, turn that roundup on, right?
Exactly.
That seems like I didn't even see that when I reviewed that. So that's cool to hear. Fantastic. Just fantastic.
Ravi, you were recently part of an incubator. For any of the entrepreneurs that are listening in, can you tell us a little bit about your experience and if incubators are something that future entrepreneurs should consider?
This is a classic, it depends answer. Yeah. For us, it was really good to be part of this accelerator program. And it all depends on the stage you're at. And I would highly encourage it, especially for new entrepreneurs. If this is the access to mentorship, to the network and community that an accelerator or incubator can provide, it is definitely worthwhile in many situations. Y Combinator, being the most famous, probably startup accelerator in the world, they have this community, this alumni network and community of investors that provides incredible value. And that's why it says it's harder to get into Y Combinator now than Harvard. It's just on a statistical basis. So it's they definitely, and there are accelerators and incubators for every niche and every geography, just about. So I highly encourage, and especially in the climate space, we have incubators, some even run by nonprofits on our platform, like New Energy Nexus and others.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing your experience. So Ravi, tell us what's on the horizon for Atmos in 2022?
Yeah, so we've got our individual accounts, just about dialed in, and we want to launch. We want to offer joint accounts, both for spousal partners, but then also for parents and their children, because we are seeing this of wanting to provide parents. I'm a new parent, definitely. That is a whole different podcast to get into. Is that the change of my relationship to this mission after I had my child. But so we want to do joint accounts. We want to be able to support children, and we want to also support companies. There are a lot of companies, startups, sole props, B Corps that want to move their money to, into a climate positive banking entity, and we want to support them to do that, especially all of us who are in clean tech, who are working on this on a daily basis. Not only do we want our individual accounts to support this transition, we want our companies to do that as well. And then, as I said, we want to keep working on the loans as well, to not just fund the utility scale projects, but bring those down to the commercial and residential, so that we can start seeing a much more diverse mix of the assets that we're funding.
So for those listening in that are in the fintech, the banking space, are there any events or conferences that you'll be attending this year where folks can meet you in person?
I don't know yet. Haven't lined up the exact conferences. There's probably some solar and clean tech conferences that I'll be attending. And yeah, missed Money 2020. But real heads down right now on products and some other things and family. So would rather spend time with my 5-month-old than at a networking event. But yeah, I'm sure easier to find me on social media than on a conference floor at the moment. And if you just search for Ravi Mikkelsen, it's literally one in 8 billion. So the name is very easy to find, and I'm on every social network.
Well, there you have it. You can find Ravi on any social network that's out there, especially LinkedIn. Taking that one step further, Ravi, you mentioned how easy it is for consumers to sign up on your platform. If an individual or an organization is looking to learn a little bit more about Atmos, where can they learn more? Where can they find you?
Yeah. So if they want to join us on this journey, you can go directly to our website, which is joinatmos.com. That's the easiest way. Again, we're also on social media, Twitter, Join Atmos is our handle there. Ravi Mikkelsen is mine. And reach out. We've got a chat bubble, little chat function on our website. We've got email. So yeah, we're very easy to get a hold of, and we're responsive on just about every platform where we are. So.
There you have it. Atmos empowers banks to engage their communities as climate leaders. Be sure to like this video and click that subscribe button so you don't miss a beat. And be sure to tune in to future episodes of Go Electric. Thank you, Ravi, for being on the show. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Long live the pioneer. Thanks, Ravi.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Josh.